As always, I'm Calvin, Statue Fanatic, here with another review. This time, we're going to take a look at the Blade versus Dracula Polystone Diorama by Sideshow Collectibles. Try saying that 10 times. This statue was released in 2008 as part of Sideshow's Dynamic versus Diorama series. And in my opinion, this is one of the most intricately detailed statues in that entire series. Blade, for example, and Dracula are depicted in this epic battle where Blade and Dracula are ascending up this staircase, this ancient staircase, leaving this trail of death and destruction behind. But before we get into the review of the statue, let's talk just a little bit about the origins of Blade and how he came to be. Blade first appeared in Tomb of Dracula number 10 in July 1973. During childbirth, Blade's mother was having complications, and a doctor by the name of Deacon Frost, who was also a vampire, was called in to help. During this process, Deacon Frost actually feasted on Blade's mother, eventually killing her. However, as a result of this process, enzymes were passed on to Blade, which gave him all the powers of vampires, but none of their weaknesses, at least the weaknesses that we know that vampires have. Blade, whose real name is Eric Brooks, has appeared in many stories and story arcs in the Marvel Universe. One of my personal favorites is The Rise of the Midnight Sun, which is a 6-part series he appeared in. This was a team put together by two ghostwriters, Daniel Ketch and Johnny Blaze, along with Doctor Strange, of course Blade, Morbius, and several other characters from the dark side of the Marvel Universe. So now that we've talked a little bit about Blade's history, let's get into the review. This statue can be divided into, I believe, 4 parts. Of course you have Blade and you have Dracula, but you also have the base, and the base itself has a lot of character, and you also have the 2 vampires that have been slain by Blade that are laying on the stairs. And so with that said, we're going to get it started with the base, which I think is one of the most prominent features in the statue. The statue itself appears to be depicting a battle of some sort. On one side of the statue, you have these characters that have been impaled, and you can see them on these spikes. But as you go around the statue, you can also see these supernatural ancient characters that seem to be advancing toward another group of characters that look like knights and warriors. The paint application on the base is absolutely gorgeous. It's painted to look like it's stone, but in addition to that, to give it a even more realistic look, it appears that there is algae being painted on the base itself. It has this green tint to it that you can see, and it actually looks realistic, like it's real stone, the way that you would expect concrete or stone that has been exposed to the elements to look. It's a pretty good detail and shading element to the statue. The detail continues to the back of the statue as well. It looks as if the battle is so intense that Blade and Dracula are actually starting to destroy the staircase itself. It looks like it's starting to crumble. And I'm assuming that the V on here is an homage to Vlad the Impaler. And I say that because of the first part that I said about the base that has these people impaled on the stake, which was a trademark, a calling card of Vlad the Impaler, as well as this Dracula seems to be a lot like or resemble a lot like the description that's in Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is based on Vlad the Impaler. Now, moving on to Dracula himself. The head sculpt portrays Dracula's savage and violent and bloodthirsty nature, I think. The paint application is nice, but what I think is most impressive about the paint application and about the sculpt of the head is how meticulously sculpted the mouth is. You can see the fangs, the teeth, the tongue, they're all sculpted incredibly well. And as they give this, I don't know, maybe this vicious and pitiless look as he's looking at Blade to tear him apart. The armor, for example, that he's wearing is also superbly detailed. Take a look at the 2 shoulder plates. They look like they are made of some type of copper. Of course, it's sculpted and it's polystone, but it looks like it's copper or some type of metal. And it has this realistic oxidation look to it, which gives it this incredible look, and the shading on that is absolutely gorgeous. So I think they did a really great job. The same thing with the gauntlets that are on his arm. They have this metal look that has this green oxidation. Really great detail to that. His wings, for example, also have a ton of detail. They have this fleshy look that I would imagine that a bat wings would look like. They're also made out of this translucent resin that allows light to pass through them. And that could have a pretty cool effect depending on how you decided to display the statue. His body also has some interesting paint application, which gives him this sort of diseased look. You can see the spots and things like that all over his body. This shows up on his chest as well as his hands and his feet. So speaking of his feet, I'm mentioning his arms and his feet anyway, they too have this incredible detail. You can see where this massive feet, his massive, you can call them claws now, more like bats, have grabbed onto Blade's leg. And on his left arm, he's grabbed onto Blade's neck, and then he has this massive hand that looks like it's about to just rip the rest of Blade's head off. I think the detail on this is absolutely incredible. The fingernails, the way that they're detailed, and the fine shading and paint that's in the details, in the nails and the details in that look absolutely amazing as well. You can also see where Blade has impaled him with the sword. And right around where the entry point of the sword, you can see where his body has started to incinerate. The detail around that is really cool. There's these very detailed rats, for example, also on the back of the statue. And they are pouring out of this broken area in the back of this statue. But what's interesting about the rats is that it looks like they're all going up Dracula's leg, becoming part of Dracula, and giving him more power and regenerating him to continue to fight. Now let's take a look at Blade. The paint sculpt on Blade's head, it's acceptable, it's not bad. However, as far as the paint application is concerned, I wish the shading and the line work around his beard and around, I guess, his glasses were a little bit cleaner, especially the ones around his shades. I wish they were a bit cleaner, but it's not bad, and I just think it could have been done better, but it still definitely looks good. As you look at it closer, you can see how they could have done a better job with that, and there could be versions of this that are a little bit better. His body armor looks fantastic. With a huge amount of detail in his body armor itself, it looks like there are multiple types of texturing on his body armor. It looks like the body armor is definitely designed to protect him in these types of fights. The level of detail continues onto his boots. There's a lot of detailing on that with the buckles and all of that great stuff. And the rest of his suit, including the back of his suit as well, also has a lot of detailing on it. This is the exclusive version, which I think has 400, addition of 400. What makes this version exclusive is that this sword actually comes out and can be switched out for this gun here, at least not that gun, because there are two guns, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but can be switched out for this gun here, and he's actually shooting and stabbing him at the same time. I happen to be a bigger fan of the sword. I don't know why. I just like the sword. When it comes to Dracula, it just seems like he should be fighting with a sword and not a gun. So it also comes with a separate gun that isn't attached to anything. It just lays on the base itself. And he looks like he's discarded that gun as he's emptied the rounds out on these vampires and slaughtered them going up the stairs. The next element of the statue is the vampires themselves that are laying on the stairs that he've actually impaled, and they are disintegrating or going up in flames. What's unique about these vampires is that they're part of the light up feature on the statue. And then it's executed really well, and then under the right lighting conditions, the lighting feature looks really cool. As you can see from some of the pictures here, it is battery operated, and then there's this little red button on the back that you push to turn it on and off. You can see the difference here of the way it looks on and the way it looks off. It's not something that I would like leave on because it's not something that you can plug in, so the batteries would definitely run out after a couple of hours. But it's definitely something that if you're showing somebody your statue, like, hey, check out this really cool feature, turn off the light, turn it on, and it glows really bright orange. So I like that a lot. This is how I personally have decided to display the statue with my collection of other characters from the Beyond. I seem to like that genre a whole lot. But my final thoughts about the statue is that I think it is a gem. I think it is one of the most overlooked statues in the history of Sideshow. They actually show this statue in one of their table books, and the images in there are really nice of the statue as well. If you're a Blade fan, it's definitely worth picking up. What's interesting also about this is that for some reason, 2008, which is, God, what, 10 years almost, this statue can be acquired at nearly retail. So I find that interesting, considering the other statues in this collection go for considerably more than they were at retail. But that's my thoughts on the statue. If you like the review and you like what I'm doing, please take the time to like and subscribe. And until next time, peace.